All right, this week's tip is brought to you by Maschke saddles. I've got Roscoe here. This is a 3-year-old stud, and I just want to take a few minutes to talk about just your overall horse's health. In specific, I'm talking about ulcers. So I think it's one of those things. Sure, you probably heard about it a little bit. I'm not a vet, number one. I'm not a veterinarian, but I've talked to a lot of veterinarians, and I've dealt with a lot of horses with ulcers over the years. And I found you're better to get ahead of the game than you are to wait till things go down. You see this horse is in fantastic condition. This is an example of what I'd like all my horses to look like, ideally. But let's just talk about, like when I get new horses in the barn, if they come in, and you know you've had them where they come in, the haircut's a little dull, they're maybe a little underweight. Sometimes it could be a horse that's like a little irritable, or they're a little hot acting where they're just really reactive like the stuff, and they're kind of spooky and whatnot. That could just be that horse's demeanor, but what I've found a lot of times you can help those horses out. You know, you want to make sure on a good dental program, so you want to make sure their teeth are floated, so they're eating properly and everything. This is kind of what goes through my head, my checklist, and I just want to share this with you. Second, I'll be thinking about worming, just your basic, your basic horsemanship type stuff. And then the last thing, of course I've got my feed, right? I'm looking at what I'm feeding them. And let's say none of that stuff's working, or if that horse comes in, they just look kind of poor. What I'll do is I'll go call Smart Pack up that does all my supplements, and I'll look at a Smart Gut. That's a product that they use that's good for that stomach, working on ulcers. Second thing, they're immediately going on Equine Omega Complete Oil. I've found that really helps with those ulcers, not to mention it just makes those coats shine like this. And then the last thing that I'll also throw at them is Ulcer Guard. And this is a big one here. This is one that you can go down to your local feed store, you can grab one tube here. It's got 4 doses in it, and I'll hit those horses for 7 days to 30 days with a quarter tube of this. A lot of times I'll hit them maybe with a full dose myself for maybe 7 days, and then I'll back it down. As long as you're staying inside the parameters of what they're saying to dose, which I haven't had any problems doing that. Give a full tube for maybe 3 days to a week, and then drop it down, maybe it gets down to a quarter. But what I found, if you give it about, you give it about 30 days, a lot of times you'll see a huge difference in your horse. And so, again, I'm talking about their physical appearance, of course, but also performance-wise. And now I've actually gotten in a habit, I give all those supplements that I told you about, but like this Ulcer Guard, every horse show I go to with these guys, I put them on a little small dose of that quarter tube they get. And I've just found, it's a stressful situation, and so why not get ahead of it and go ahead and give them that Ulcer Guard beforehand. Again, along with the oil, and myself, my choice is Smart Pack supplements, just so you stay ahead of the game. Now, also what I've found, if you want to know 100% if your horse has ulcers, which most vets will tell you on some level they all do, you got to call the vet in, you got to scope their stomach to see do they have gastric ulcers or not. I do that sometimes if I think those horses aren't responding to kind of what my normal little protocol is. We'll scope them, but I just kind of assume they all do, and I just throw everything but the kitchen sink. Where I was going with that is I also will try to simplify that diet. I'll put them on maybe just alfalfa, and I'm talking horses that look pretty poor, which fortunately I don't have any in the barn right now to show you that look like that, but I'll put them on just a strict alfalfa diet until I start to see those horses start to change, and then go ahead and put them back onto their regular feed. And I'm talking about, for me, new horses that come in training, new horses that we've bought, and in some cases, I've seen horses that come in that, like I said, real skittish, hot, wanting to run off, and you get their stomach taken care of. You get those horses feeling good from inside out, and they start riding a lot better for you, and they feel a lot more comfortable, because you can only imagine, if you've ever had an ulcer before, your stomach's on fire, and then to ask, like for me, for a horse to go spin and stop and do all those things and jar that ass around that stomach, it's got to be really painful. So anyway, just wanted to take a few minutes to help you troubleshoot what could be going on in your horse. So again, you can inspect your horse visually, and you can look at him, you'd say, this guy looks fine. However, I'll also tell you, I've had horses that look like this, that riding them, and let's say, you know, your horse is normally quiet, all of a sudden they get hot, or like I'm telling you, for me, a horse that's just reactive, overreactive for no reason, they sometimes can look like this and still be affected by ulcers. And it doesn't, you know, I mean, a lot of these supplements and stuff are, you know, they cost a little bit of money, but think about it. What's it worth for your horse to have peace of mind, to be healthy, feeling good? And then also in return, your horse is probably going to ride better for you, which means you're going to have a lot more peace of mind. So that's something to think about. It's not always a training issue. Sometimes it's a taking care of your horse issue, and that's where it comes. You know, you want to be smart, you know, and just look and go, okay, is there anything physically going on with this horse that I could help before I start diving into, you know, oh, Roscoe here just doesn't want to do his job. You'll see some horses that are using their ears, they kind of have more of a frowny look to them. You start getting them taken care of from the inside out, those horses get a lot happier. There's my formula for how I take care of the horses that are under my care that I suspect are dealing with ulcers. I am not a veterinarian. I don't claim to be a veterinarian, but, you know, you don't want to have to call a vet out for every little thing that you have going on. You'd like to be able to take care of some of that stuff yourself. And that's why they offer these type of products out there that you can get sent out to you. Ultimately, if you want to bring the doc out and have them check them out, that's fantastic too. We have vets here all the time. But this is something here that you can do yourself.
Looking to step your game up? Perfect. All you have to do is go to mattmillsreining.com. It's only $24.95 a month. So sign up today, because the key to success is knowing.